Alrighty, everyone. It was a training day, so that means a Q&A. Let's get to the first question of the day, shall we? What is your definition of masculinity? What does it really mean to be a man? This is not going to be a popular answer in the fitness community because I know most of you skew hard right and consider this really important. But I just think masculinity is made up gender role from the Bible. I mean, when I think of what it means to be a good person, there isn't a single element of that I attribute to somebody being male. Like, you're either a good person or you're not a good person. What aspect of being a man requires certain characteristics to make you good that is different than if you're a woman? Like, people like to say, well, men should be protectors and providers. Okay. Well, last time I looked this up, almost half of women in marriages today, in the US anyway, make as much or more as their partner. So women are clearly providers as well. And as far as the whole protector thing goes, I mean, statistically, who's going to be more likely to protect their children with ferocity, a male or a female? There's plenty of men that just abandon their families altogether. Okay, women are biologically, for certain biological reasons, almost more likely to be protectors of their children. That's certainly always been my experience. So again, I think just because you're a woman, that doesn't abdicate you of the duty of protecting your family. And if you're male, you should protect them as well. What are some other things that people like to attribute to masculinity? Physical strength, propensity to violence. I mean, these are not things to me that make you a good person. And I really, if that's what it takes to be a good man, who really cares? So is Martin Luther King Jr. not a real man because he wouldn't punch you in the face if you called him a pussy? You know what I mean? It's just, it's sophomoric nonsense that is, to me, completely ridiculous. What does it mean to be a good person? Think about it. I mean, like, being kind, trying to do the right thing, these sorts of things. None of this is gender dependent. Like, you should be doing those things regardless of what parts you have. So again, personally, man, I was raised to believe that the most important things are the choices that you make. You can choose to have a good attitude. You can choose to be kind to people. You can choose to work hard. You can't choose to be smart or beautiful or tall or strong for the most part, right? These are things that are talents given by God or genetics, whatever you believe in. So for me, there are certain character values that I try to uphold, things that I hold dear to me, the ones that I just listed, for example. And as long as I can do that, I can be happy with the kind of person that I am. And if outsiders want to look at that combination of traits and qualities and call it feminine or call it masculine, I don't know. I don't really care because I'm trying to live up to those qualities. I'm not trying to be a real man. Do you believe Wilt Chamberlain's claims about his fantastic athleticism, like a 500-pound bench press and a 48-inch vertical leap? So there is no doubt whatsoever that Wilt Chamberlain was one of the greatest athletes of all time. The guy held actual track and field records at the collegiate level in Kansas. High jump, long jump. He was an incredible leaper. There's countless anecdotes about it, countless. People even claim they saw him kick a quarter off the top of the backboard, which would require something like a 48-inch vertical. That said, his stories are a little Paul Bunyan-y. I think it's very possible, if not likely, that he did have something like a 40-inch vertical, but a 48-inch vertical, like standing, no running start, would be like an NFL record. And like I've said in the past, NFL players actually have higher vertical jumps than NBA players. And I just don't believe that Wilt Chamberlain at 7'1", 7'2" was the best jumper ever. There are some incredible pictures of him doing crazy, crazy things, and he's definitely the most athletic 7-footer that has ever existed in the history of Earth, probably. But again, there's some Paul Bunyan-y stuff going on there where he was so good that people just got tempted to exaggerate it a little bit further. As far as the 500-pound bench claim, that was not his claim. Arnold claimed he did that. So that's probably legit. Do you believe people who receive external validation succeed more in the long run in fitness or with any other goal than people who rely solely on internal motivation? So, it's not really about external validation, but really extrinsic reward systems. And yes, I 100% believe that. And here's the reason why. Most people are socially normal, which means that if they get praise or even financial rewards, social status from doing well at something, it creates a positive feedback loop that encourages them to spend more and more time on that thing. And again, most people are not Buddhist monks. So if they start working on something and people don't say anything or tell them that they suck, it is going to discourage them and they're going to be less likely to keep doing that activity in the future. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't certain personalities out there who need less of that or maybe need even zero of it, especially as adults, but it's really rare. And if we're talking about what's more likely to make someone succeed in the long term, if you're talking about a reward system that's purely intrinsic versus somebody that has massive, well-established extrinsic reward systems where they're getting paid for their performances, where they're receiving tons of praise, shares, and likes, and people think that they might even literally be famous from their success, right? Think about even how like a kid is going to pick his hobbies over time. Like maybe a kid will try every sport, but he just seems to do better at baseball versus other sports. He might find himself gravitating towards baseball and playing baseball more. And this is just a natural biological way to help us find a social role that we're naturally good at. So reward systems do matter and they do influence success. Is it ever logical to use human growth hormone if you are otherwise natural and not going to use anything else alongside of it? Not really, man. There's a couple scenarios that I can think of. Obviously, keep in mind that if you use human growth hormone, you are no longer natty, obviously. So I'm guessing that you're asking this because you don't want to risk fertility issues with anabolics. But here's the thing. They've tested human growth hormone in isolation, and it doesn't do much to increase performance. What you're going to get is a slight body composition benefit, so you will hold less fat at the end of the year. This is if you use it all year round. The other situation would be if you have an injury that's going to take 6 to 12 months to recover from, say like a full reconstruction of your knee or something, it could potentially help you heal faster from that. And the last situation would be that if you're over 40 years old, maybe 35, and you're using it at replacement doses because you no longer make it because you're old. So it could have an anti-aging effect in that respect. But otherwise, for performance, no. Oh, would you look at that? It looks like I forgot to post my curl set today. And we just can't have a video without a curl set in it. So I guess I have to answer another question. All right, what is the recommended rate of weight loss for a natty to not set up rebound gains or rebound fat gain? Rate of loss stuff is totally individual, man. But yes, if you're looking at maximizing strength and muscle retention, the literature kind of settled on the number of 0.7% of body weight per week, and a lot of people just expand that range to make it more practical to 0.5 to 1% of body weight per week. The leaner you are, the closer to 0.5. The fatter you are, the closer to 1%. But this is individual, especially if we're just talking about rebounding. It depends on how much hunger you can personally handle. The more diet experience you have, the higher rates of loss you can handle. The less, the less. So it just depends on the person. How is your forearm and what is the diagnosis? So I tore my bicep tendon. It's 90% torn or so. I need surgery to get it reattached. Hopefully, I actually haven't been called yet for that to be scheduled, which is a bit frustrating since it was supposed to take 3 to 5 business days. And here we are a full week later, but I won't even get into that. Now, something that I haven't talked about, and not that you asked, but you're getting it anyway, is how I'm feeling about the situation. And to be honest, it's the only emotion that I can really pinpoint is just frustration. I'm extremely frustrated to the point that it's like anger. And it's really just not towards anyone or anything in particular. It's just the fact that I put so much into this. It is my thing. I love training. Nothing matters more to me than training. Training is my life. I give it my all. And to lose a year of it off of something like this is just frustrating. I'll be honest, my mind has not been right with training for a while now. I have been relying on discipline and just showing up, but today was the first day where I finally felt like I was attacking sets again. Right now, mentally, I have 2 driving forces that are serving as the fuel for that sort of attack mentality. And the first one is that there is no wasted time here. I've been able to reframe that. This entire time, my left arm is not injured, which means that it is basically an experimentation grounds to figure out what is finally going to work for my biceps and my shoulders and my triceps to get them up to par. I have 6 months or whatever that it's going to be where I'm really not going to be able to have my right arm even back up to where it was. That in that 6 months, I can figure out by looking at what's happening to my left side, what it's going to take to rush my right side up to a new level as well. So if I can unlock that next level with my left side, I can certainly come back and unlock a new level on my right side as well. And I'm determined to do that. And that's why I went and looked for strength landmarks on laterals and curls from guys like Hunter Labrada to give me a number to focus on and to attack. And the second thing is I'm just not going to allow this to be the end. The bicep injury video I posted has like 200 shares, and 0 of those were public story shares. What's my point? My point is that the vast majority of those were people like sending it to a friend saying, did you see this? And then I know, because I know how people work, that a good portion after that is like making fun, right? And saying like, oh, this is what you get for training that way. What a blah, 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 blah. And proving those kinds of people wrong doesn't mean anything to me anymore. I already went through that phase like with my first run at YouTube. But what does matter to me is not letting pessimists win and not letting down people who believe in something or someone. And I'm in this weird position where there are people that look up to me, that believe in my ability to do something cool within the sport. And I will have my moment no matter what. I promise you, I will have my moment. This will not stop me from having my moment. And when I do have that moment with my hand raised, I will be thanking those people because it will be for me and them that I did it. And I refuse to let anything come in the way of that moment. Are deadlifts more fatiguing than squats? Yes, just flat out yes. In my experience, deadlifts are the most fatiguing movement that I'll ever have in my program at any point ever. It's always a hip hinge that's most fatiguing. And I think it's partially because hip hinges load your lower back so heavily. And second, because you can just use so much weight. But to me, yes, hinges are the hardest thing to recover from, always. So this question is essentially asking me if volume landmarks apply to individual sessions or if it just matters about your total volume across the week. Your volume landmarks within a session are actually more relevant than weekly volume because your body doesn't operate on a weekly schedule, even if you do, right? Your stress recovery adaptation cycles for most muscles are not going to be this neat 7-day cycle. So in fact, there's plenty of people that use an asynchronous training schedule where they train 3 on, 1 off or something like that. So there are absolutely volume landmarks within a session. It is possible that doing 1 set does absolutely nothing for you, and that you need at least 2 to 3 sets to provide a positive adaptation from a given session. We also know that if you're doing more than roughly 8 to 10 sets for a muscle group in the same session, you would probably be better off splitting that up. So there absolutely is an optimal number of sets per session as well. Alrighty, everyone, that is the end of the video, so you know what to do. If you liked the video, please like the video. Any questions or comments, leave them below. Even if you just want to call me a dickhead, the comment section is below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day, everyone. Peace.